Hey, when do you call it quits? When do you run out of steam and realize that you have to prioritize and check your life out? I came to that marker just recently. I came to that line where I had to reevaluate my life. My name is Jamie, and I've been a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator for 16 years next week, January 24th. I signed up 2 weeks before giving birth to my daughter. I have 5 girls and 1 son and 1 grandson. I hit my wall this year, and I had to reevaluate, and I had to walk away from Stampin' Up! So I thought I would just kind of give you a little rundown of what happened and what's next. It's really hard to admit for somebody like me. I'm a bit of an overachiever. If you know me, you're laughing because not only do I have 6 beautiful children and a gorgeous grandson, I am a homeschooling mom of my youngest 4 children. And over the last 2 years, 3 years ago, there was a tragic death of my mother. And it intensified where over the last 2 years, our whole life was flipped upside down. I couldn't tell you when there wasn't a week of some kind of stress in the last 2 years. And there comes to a point where you have to decide that you can't walk forward or just take that next step out of that next step. You know, you have to take a deep breath and realize that sometimes you need help and sometimes you need to end things. So I found myself shutting down this last year, and I didn't even recognize the signs. I think that happens a lot with those that are overachievers. People that are running 200 miles an hour sometimes don't realize that they're running over thin air after they've run off of a cliff. That would be me. So last 2 years have consisted of my husband. I was received a gold promotion within Stampin' Up! And also I was nominated for a National Heart of Stampin' Up! Award with Stampin' Up! And I was super excited. And a week later, my husband came home and informed me that the company he's worked for over 22 years is closing. We lived in California, and I had grown up in California my whole life. But I knew that we couldn't continue the way we were. And so we decided to put our house on the market in Thousand Oaks, California, and start the trend where we would move. Houses were flying off the market, and we received several offers, but our house seemed to take a long time to sell. Where houses that were worse off than ours were selling so much quicker and for so much more. But God knows. See, I'm a Christian. I believe that God is in charge of what happens next in our world. And sometimes we need to submit that everything we do to Him. Actually, that's every time. We need to submit what we're doing to Him. And sometimes I find I just don't. I have a tendency to keep walking forward by my own strength, and then I fell apart. So we put our house on the market 2 years ago. Well, no, in October, it'll be 2 years. And so a year and a half ago, and we packed up our house, my children and I, and we started the procedure of showing our home to sell it in one of the hottest markets in California. This was stressful. So when you're homeschooling and you're working from home and you literally have to constantly take down everything that you were working on and put it in boxes, throw it in the back of your car, grab your 4 children and your 2 dogs and run out of the house so that you can show your home several times a day while you're trying to cook a meal and homeschool your kids and work from home. It wears on you. Surpriser, shocker, not to most, but to me, for some reason, it was a surprise. So we eventually received an offer we finally accepted and moved forward with, and I came to Indiana in January, a year ago today. And we placed an offer after a week of looking. Actually, I came by myself. My husband stayed home with the 4 children, and I stayed with family here in Indiana. And after looking at about 50 homes in 1 week, we put an offer on a house and we accepted it, or it was accepted. I came home, and 2 weeks later, we found out the offer that we had accepted had faulty funding. The house that we had offered and purchased in Fort Wayne was no longer guaranteed to be ours after looking at 50 homes in a week. Oh my gosh, I was so exhausted. We were back to showing our homes, showing the house, and hoping upon hope that we would still have the home that we picked in Fort Wayne. So we've accepted 2 other offers, of which people fell through, and then our third offer, everything was going through, but he happened to be a nightmare purchaser. So much so that our realtor of over 25 years in the industry as a leader was floored at what was happening with our home. But we plugged through. If it wasn't one trauma, it was another, it was another. And then the house that we had purchased in Fort Wayne went to somebody else. And I had 2 weeks to get out of our home with no house to land in. We looked at a home online, and thankfully I have cousins in Indiana who showed up, and they went and looked at the house for us in Indiana in a town called Markle. And it on paper looked like the most amazing home. And it was. My cousin walked in and he knew this was the house for us. And we got it. We made a cash offer and a 2-week escrow. We finished packing our home. And that nightmare buyer became even a bigger nightmare where you wouldn't believe the stuff that happened. It's okay, not worth going into. And the day before we moved, my husband collapsed and landed in the garage on the concrete, smacking the back of his head and causing some major damage. He was at the ER while I was home packing. We were able to get my husband to his family's house where he stayed in California, and the 4 kids and 2 dogs and myself road tripped to Indiana, where we started our new life in prepping this 1800s craftsman home in order for us all to move in. Whew, wow. I kept my business going through all of that. And I don't know how well of a good job I did, quite honestly. And I thought I was doing okay, but I knew I wasn't. It wasn't my usual speed, and I had to make some skips and jumps, and I kind of put Stampin' Up lower rung. Not a surprise when you have 4 children and 2 dogs that need you to set up a house, where we had handymen that broke more things than fixed it, construction we didn't anticipate showing up, flooding of our newly floored house to have to ruin all the new and floors, furniture damaged, furniture not arriving. It was insane. Eventually, my husband was able to join us in October of the year. We moved out here in April, and it was just insane. And he joined us in October, where he had been in California and taking care of family, as well as closing the business in California. And then he road tripped out and joined us here. I didn't realize it at the time that I had hit a wall, and I was hanging over that cliff, that little cartoon character with its legs running and the cliff is way back here. That's where I was. I kept taking a step forward because that's what I thought you do. But I wasn't doing a very good job. And I was getting more and more tired. And eventually, right before the holidays, we got really sick. And apparently that took a lot of my last reserves. So much so that I became stuck. And I had to let go of Stampin' Up. I kept taking steps forward, but really, I was exhausted. And apparently when you're exhausted and you drain your adrenals and it messes with your hormones, you also get depressed. So Stampin' Up became one of the last things I could deal with, really. I did all I could. There was a lot of disappointments and frustrations, but I had to walk away. So that gets through the holidays, and I realize I moved step forward to do a wonderful retreat that we just did, and it was a blessing and it was wonderful. But as we were booking this retreat and finalizing all of the orders, everything went haywire, and I actually disappeared from the Stampin' Up system. 16 years with the company, and poof, they couldn't find my profile. My customers couldn't find my profile. It was insane. I was losing my mind. And something I had to stop and do was let go of Stampin' Up. What does that mean? For me, it means I said to the Lord, okay, God, if you want me to give this up, 16 years of what I've loved to do. In that 16 years, Stampin' Up! Has brought me some of my closest friends, adopted family to my children and myself. Let me just tell you, there's so many amazing women that are family to me thanks to my crafting and connecting with others. I could talk about Christine or Dolores or Monique or Ina, and I could start crying because these people became family. So many of you became family. But I said to God, okay, I give it up. This, mind you, a month and a half after speaking on a national platinum or global forum for Stampin' Up! About how to schedule fun, how to schedule all this, and I felt like the world's biggest fraud. I had failed and I was letting go. You know what's funny? When you let go, sometimes it picks you up. That saying, when you let something go, if it's yours, it'll come back. I think that's what happened. 16 years of being with Stampin' Up! And I still, give you a heads up, still pretty exhausted, but I'm doing better now. I have a doctor that's helped me out with some great herbal supplements. I'm doing light therapy, which is a thing when you come to the Midwest. And I am getting my traction again. Does that include Stampin' Up? Yes. How do I know? Well, no joke. I was missing from the Stampin' Up! Data. They couldn't find me. My customers couldn't find me. It was something, according to Stampin' Up!, they had never seen in all of their years with demos. And I disappeared. Poof. 16 years. Can you imagine? Pretty insane. Within giving it an hour of giving it up to the Lord and telling God that I would be okay with walking away with that. Walking away. I'll just walk away from 16 years of what I love to do. They were able to find my profile. My orders all went in and everything came into a head of success. Is it what I really would have called success? No, but it was a step forward. So then I had to stop and evaluate what has happened, because sometimes you block out the bad. So I had to evaluate what happened over the last 2 years. And I started writing stuff down and realized maybe it was okay that I took a pause from Stampin' Up. Just a break. And maybe it would be okay if I walked away from Stampin' Up, but my heart didn't want to. Why? I made a list of what Stampin' Up! Has given me, and I thought I would just share it with you. It has given me a great way to support my family and aid in the finance of our needs fiscally. It has given me an avenue that if I work hard enough and I do my right things that I know I need to get done, as my husband's company is closing, I will be able to help support our budget. It has given me some of my closest friends. Honestly, I have friends globally because of Stampin' Up! That are close as family. People that I can pick up and FaceTime with in a moment's notice in Australia, in England, you name it, Canada. I'm so grateful for these women and men in my life. But then we go on to my team. If it wasn't for my team, I don't know that I would have been able to even acknowledge my business. I was falling apart. You know, if you're falling apart, I was falling apart. There was a lot to mourn, a lot of exhaustion, a lot of sadness, and me just shutting down and not recognizing it until it was a little bit too late. So, with a new year and a new catalog and disappearing in the system from Stampin' Up! And a new retreat, I had to make a decision. So I wrote my list. Between the amazing customers that have become friends, my ability to create and connect with others, my love of crafting and stamping and card making, my love of leading an amazing national team, my love of everything that Stampin' Up! Has brought me, accolades, success, trips earned, Gold Elite, to everything. I couldn't have done it without my team and my customers carrying me over the last 2 years. And I probably failed a lot of people. And I'm sorry if I did. I'm sorry if I disappeared and you wondered where I went. I kind of don't know where I went. I just shut down over the holidays. But this is a new year. Welcome to 2022. So what's next for me? I reprioritized my business. I am taking steps forward to get out of the exhaustion. I'm happy again with crafting. I'm a little tired, so I'm still a little slower than I want to be. I have big goals. I have amazing support from my team, my customers, and even Stampin' Up. This is the kind of company you want to work for. You want to work with them, partner with them. If it wasn't for my business development advisor, Nadine, if it wasn't for our DDM, Shannon, if it wasn't for my stamping sisters across the world, I probably would have walked away from it all. The big thing though, I gave it all to God. I turned everything over to the Lord and I said, "Here, Daddy. This is my heart. This is what I want." And there's this great picture of us holding on to something we want so bad and God saying, "Give it to me so I can give you something bigger." And he did. He gave me a bigger vision. He's given me bigger hope and excitement than I've had in the last several years. He's giving me grace and mercy where I realize it's okay to be as exhausted as I am. I'm exhausted and it's okay. That's not something I've ever thought. I thought you can just walk through exhaustion. Nay, nay. So if you're like me and you're wondering where you are in this world, maybe you've had a rough couple of years, 2 or 3. Maybe you've had tragic deaths. Maybe you've had insane pivoting of your business and your life on the regular. Maybe you've had lost jobs, lost income. Maybe you've had tons of stress. This is a world that's pretty freaking stressful. But for me, cathartically, pick up something beautiful like a stamp and apply it to paper and see something beautiful come from it. Connect with others. And over crafting and card making, I don't have to have any skills. I just put stamp to paper. And I realized I was restoring my love for what got me involved in Stampin' Up in the first place. 16 years ago, I joined 2 weeks before giving birth to my daughter. My first crafting event was with my mom's club girlfriends. And gosh, I was just a puppy back then. Wow. But God is good. And in that time, I've earned numerous trips with Stampin' Up, amazing friends across the United States, an amazing national team, amazing stampers across the United States, people who join me for my lives and videos across the world. So what's next? I'm back, baby. I'm back. It's going to be a little bit different. I'm excited. I'm repivoting. I'm refocusing. I'm probably going to stumble a little bit, but I'm excited to be back. And I want to thank you. Yes, you. Because if you've joined me along this journey, you know who I am. I'm pretty transparent. You know that God is at work. No matter how insane this world is, God is at work. We are not to lose hope. And you know that whatever the world is meant for harm, God is going to turn it to blessings. He has big things for us, you and me. So thank you. Thank you for joining me on this journey. And if you're just meeting me for the first time, hey, nice to meet ya. I'm a pretty fallible person. I'm a pretty screw up, sassy, silly little lady who's just trying to take a step forward. So yes, this is one of the benefits to being a part of Stampin' Up, is that you can pause. Life gets too busy, too crazy, too chaotic, too traumatic. Pause. Take a deep breath. Sleep in. Get sleep. Hello, let's just talk about that. Is the number one thing between all of that. Get your sleep in. Have grace. Have good conversation. If it wasn't for my team, I have to tell you, talking to some of my team members, they helped me pull out of this incredibly dark place that I ended up with. And they're some of my biggest blessings. If you're looking for friends, let me tell you, the girls on my team, they're prayer warriors. They're women who will laugh with you. They're women who will grab a glass of wine and FaceTime with you. Grab a cup of coffee and have a conversation. I love my girls. And my stampers, oh, the grace my girls have given me, crafting with me when I do finally make an appearance. But I'm back. I'm back with a big heart and an excitement again with Stampin' Up. And I'm back. So thank you for being part of this journey. And hopefully you can understand where I've been for the last 2 years. I've given hints and peeks, but wow, God has done big things even in the midst of trials. And I've had quite a few trials, but I think, haven't we all? I'm nothing special here. And there's some freeing, like freedom in that. So here's just a little video. I'm going to put it out there. Expect big things from me, but maybe it'll look a little bit different. Maybe I step back a second. Maybe I walk a little bit slower. But being a leader in a company like Stampin' Up, I'm really grateful that God, though I surrendered it to Him, is giving it back to me. Though my team has had me pause, they've been there to love and support me through this. My customers, my stampers, those Getting Crafty Stampers, love you. So that's it. I walked away from Stampin' Up. I laid it before the Lord and I surrendered it. Took a break, a lot of sleeping, a lot of zoning. And sometimes you need to break. Just break mentally. And then get on your knees, pray, write your lists. I'm a list maker. In the 16 years with Stampin' Up, the blessings are bountiful. And I'm really grateful that I'm still going to go forward with it. And so hopefully you'll join me on this next section of journey. And if you've been along with me, thank you. That's it. If you're curious, my name is Jamie. I'm with gettingcrafty.net. You can check out my blog. It's okay because we've had a couple of really hard years. Maybe you, oh my gosh, in my team, we had like almost half of the ladies move the same time I moved. Moving is traumatic. Losing jobs is traumatic. This year has been traumatic. 2 years. But thank you. That's it. That's me. That's why I left Stampin' Up and why I'm back. So I'm back, baby. I'm excited and I love you for it. Join me on this crafting journey. And if you have any questions or words of encouragement, let me know. What has worked for you to get back on track? For me, it's learning with podcasts. I'm listening to Tim Tebow, by the way. I love his book. And Christy Wright. Breathing and prioritizing my family, my faith, and then my crafting. So that's it. Thanks for joining me. Subscribe if you haven't hit my channel. Join us on this journey that we do. I have a ton of videos that you can reference. But join me. It's a lot of fun. And if you have any questions, or maybe are you there too? Are you tired? Let me know if I can pray for you. I'm here for you. Thanks for joining me. Bye.